a rider out of Suzuka, Japan, Jo Shimoda wins Washougal. Chase Sexton conquers Washougal and gets the overall win.
What up, everybody? Welcome Title 24, presented by NBC Sports. Me and RV coming at you every week. We're going to do a little download from Washougal. But before we get going, let's pay some bills here. Thanks, United Motorsports, Quad Lock, Boxo, Dunlop, and Cardo. We appreciate you guys. Some great partners, best in the business. And thanks for tagging along here on Title 24 with RV and I. RV, you're still out here in the Southeast, in Mississippi at Farm 14. And I got to say, bud, you look a little smoked.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. It's been good making the memories with the kids and showing them a completely different experience. But yeah, it's been a lot of work, you know, playing mechanic and house cleaner and doing laundry and cooking and all that stuff while my wife, you know, gets another house up and running in California for us. So, but yeah, nonetheless, it's been a lot of fun, but it is tiring. It's getting long. So I think I got another 9 days on the road, 10 days on the road.
That's right. I think probably if I had to guess, like once the boys aren't riding every single day there at K-Dub's facility, like I feel like maybe you'll get a little bit of a reprieve, and that'll be kind of nice, right?
Yeah, no, totally. It's yeah, dude, we're having a blast. We really are. It's almost over. You know, I said we got a couple more days here, and then we're gonna head up to Kentucky to see a good buddy of mine, Craig, and then off to Loretta's for like 4 or 5 days. Hit up the Yamaha guys there. I get to do opening practice at Loretta's, do the hot laps with everybody on practice day. And then I'll be heading home after that. So it'll be a good summer vacation trip that we did for the first time.
So let me ask you this real quick, and then we'll get into, we got a killer show today and a lot of content to break down. Do you guys, is the family driving back with you from Loretta's, like one big family or what?
Yeah. So the plan is actually Craig, my buddy, he's going to, I think, maybe drive out with us, but it'll be us four, me and the two boys and Craig. If Craig doesn't drive out with me, Kristen's going to fly in for a couple of days at Loretta's, and then we're all going to drive back as a family.
Right. Oh, there you go. Well, good, dude. I'm glad you guys are having fun. My fun is over, like I should say, for personal trips. Had a hell of a run the last month, a little bit of work. I mean, really the only work that I've done is with you here on Title 24, but it's been nice. It's been nice. And the kids have had fun. My kids start their senior year here in the next couple of weeks. So just kind of trying to wrap my mind around that. And it's a big year. Dude, it's a big year. So that'll be a weird experience, but happy for them. But we got our adventure ride coming up this week. So really stoked about that. We'll be plugged in hard on the socials. So everybody follow along on our summer adventure ride. It's going to be a great time riding in the Black Hills and South Dakota. Where's it? Montana. All that whole area up there. It's so awesome to ride. But nevertheless, let's get into Washougal. Epic weekend. First of all, that place is a great venue. I thought that they did a fantastic job on the track as far as like jumps, design, everything. Looked like the riders were just vibing big time on it with with, like I said, with all the jumps that they put in. It's cool to see the riders having a fun time, especially on press day and all that fun stuff. But right into it, United Motorsports moment of the week. Really not a surprise because the dude is super talented, but Chase Sexton, hell of a win. No doubt, rode well. Dude, historically, he's great there. I know you watched some of the broadcast, RV. For your reaction, was it a surprise? Did you see anything out of the normal from him that maybe you weren't expecting? Like, what do you think of his great ride?
Well, yeah, no, Chase was definitely on the gas. He looked like he was firing on all cylinders. He was consistent. His bike looked like it was working well also. But honestly, like what you said, like the changes Washougal had made to the track, I think really raced well. That,
right.
I grew up about 3 hours north from Washougal. And to be honest, I was watching press day, or I should say race day live, and it is a tighter track, like what we have talked about, RC, about slowing these tracks down and in you know, so that they're not going so fast. That's what Washougal was, and I think it kind of like dawned on me, like that the track was actually, and this year's especially, they did a great job with the new track changes. They opened it up just a little bit, and it raced really well. The conditions of the dirt, that they did a great job. The weather was perfect. But I thought all in all, it was some great racing. The track raced well. The new section on the track I thought was much needed from that place. It's been pretty much the same since I was a kid, and just opening that up, I think, was to make it race better, was awesome to see. But you know, Chase himself riding, dude, he looked flawless on Saturday, and like you said, he's good at Washougal, typically always pretty good there. We know that's not his favorite place, but a win's a win. You know, he was able to stop the what is it, 8-0 this season so far for Jett for overalls. So that's a hell of a weekend for Chase.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And you just talked about it. Like, it's no surprise for me to see how well he is riding. Again, I think the KTM, talked about it a million times. I think that it definitely, the steel chassis, I think, is a little bit better on those type of conditions. As you just stated everything perfectly. That track can get hard base, but the track overall, I thought, raced well. I will say this, and I meant to ask you this, RV. I always felt like that track raced super narrow for some reason. Just, I don't know if it was how the lines developed or how the layout was. I think maybe the layout kind of made it race a little bit narrow, I feel like, especially in the back section, and just some of it seems like there's a lot of 45-degree corners. Did you ever feel like that when you're trying to come from behind, maybe?
Yeah, it's not an easy place to race. It's not an easy place to pass. Yes, like what you said, RC, is a lot of the lines funnel. You may be able to get out of the main line or get out of the roost, but they all kind of funnel into the insides in a lot of sections. I love how they put the split line in coming down after the downhill, right? Like that. That gave you two options where you had to commit. You know, it wasn't just inside. You had two options. And the track raced very well. And you know, sorry guys, I said Jett said 8-0, but it's 7-0 this season. So that's huge. It's huge for Chase.
Well, and I think anytime that you can beat a guy that, I mean, let's be honest, RV, when you were racing, whether it was the guys that you're racing week in and week out, that, I mean, you got the best of them majority of the time, but, you know, if they were able to beat you one weekend, it's a great weekend for them, right? But, you know, hell, we're all human, and you know, you're going to lose once in a while, right? But it's a good weekend for those guys. But again, I go back to, it's no surprise for Chase to go out there and win on a track historically that he really vibes on, and it's not one of Jett's best tracks. So, and I think everyone tuned into Title 24, and RV, you can chime in whenever you want on this. I think what you have to understand is you know that as a racer, especially the level that RV competed at, I competed at, all of the guys that have won multiple championships, you know, certain races that you go to, you're like, this is probably going to be tough. Hey, my biggest goal is just to get through the weekend, maximize the points. The win is there. You know, guys like Washougal, for example, dude, K-Dub put it to me multiple times there, and I just knew that he was going to be fast there. And I also knew, like, as far as like we talked about passing and how it races narrow, I also knew that how crucial the start was going to be, especially if you got a guy like K-Dub who gets a good start, or like if Stu gets a good start, or Reedy, the guys in my day. Like, you can't spot that track position because it's so hard to come from behind, like going to like the 250 class, like Deegs, dude, he got buried. He wasn't up far enough at the beginning. And Joe, not taking anything away from how well Smoke and Joe is riding, but dude, it's tough to make up that time. In my opinion. C Perk 54, asks, KTM just getting the bike dialed in, or Sexton just getting dialed in? What's your thoughts on that, RV?
I honestly, I think a little bit of both. The bike looked like it worked very well, but also Chase he fired on all cylinders on Saturday. And what I'm curious to see is what kind of momentum and the mental side that he can bring from that win. I think Chase needed that win. I think he's a little bit, that's going to help him mentally. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can keep that ball rolling, showing up into these next couple weekends, how he shows up, and if he can race with Jett, because I feel like we just saw Saturday that he did now. And I know, like we talked about, he likes that place. Maybe Jett doesn't like that place as much, but confidence is confidence. And I think that, after watching Chase, it's going to be interesting to go to a track that maybe they both jive with, or that Jett likes more, and Chase obviously likes it also, to see how close they can actually be on a different track.
Right. I agree with you 100%. I think that the bike looked good. I think he's probably getting more comfortable. He's got a couple races under his belt. And again, it's no surprise for me to see how well he's doing. I think, again, repeating myself, I think that track caters to Chase and the bike. And also, like I already touched on it, RV, some weekends you just have these special feelings and you enjoy going to it. So that helps also, I believe.
Yep.
Kind of like, just, where you're going, where you're comfortable at going in certain tracks. So I think there's a little bit of that sprinkled in. Hey, head over to Title 24, enter your email, get a $15 credit towards your first order. And then once you do that, you'll be automatically entered into a drawing every week to have a $50 credit on your next order. So go over to United Motorsports. Ray Butts is a big dog over there, and he is coming on our adventure ride for us. So he's got this silver bullet, I call it the silver bullet, this silver Arai helmet that we use on our adventure rides. And he's the big Neanderthal looking dude. So if you guys see him on the socials, say hey to Big Ray. And he's the dude at United Motorsports, just a fantastic dude. He makes those Tiger 900s and 1200s look like mini bikes. So pretty funny, and just a great guy. So head over to United Motorsports. Jett Lawrence, we kind of unpacked it. Listen, dude, here's my thoughts, and I'm gonna be straight up with you and everybody listen. Like, I don't know this, but I can only think like how I was. Like, listen, Washougal was always tough for me for some reason, and I feel like Jett is the same way. I think you touched on it a little bit. Hey, for him, net, it was a decent weekend. Not a lot of points gone. Kept it upright. He's got a 2-week break. The championships looking pretty sporty. Listen, dude, he's a 2-time SMX world champ. And this is you're not going to bet against the guy. You'd be a fool to bet against a guy in a championship. Taking injuries out of it. I understand injuries is part of the game, but he's just so good. He doesn't overreact. Rarely are there mistakes. If the bike isn't working well, maybe he touched on that a little bit, but maybe the bike wasn't great for him at that track. He knows how to get the best out of it. And P2 was the best. I mean, RV, what would you do in a situation like if you had to guess what Jett was thinking going into the weekend and where he's at after the weekend mentally, what would Ryan Villopoto have done in a situation like this past weekend?
Well, I think that if you go off of looking at 7-0 this current season, like, you chalk it up to saying, like, I got beat, but we swapped motos. I'm looking at it from the standpoint, like, I still have the speed. I'm still the guy. Like, Chase rode well. It's not my best weekend. And you said it, RC. He came out with being very smart and with the points he needed. He's, sure, he would like to keep that win streak going, like any one of us would have. But big picture is Pro Motocross Championship, SMX Championship, World Championship. Like, that is the crown jewel. The end goal are those two championships, whereas we currently sit. So from that perspective, I think he goes back and plays golf, and he doesn't sweat it at all because of the position he's in. And the biggest reason is because he hasn't lost very often, right? This is the first time. I don't see, Chase is going to give him confidence. I want to see Chase show up in 2 weeks, firing on all cylinders again and racing Jett head to head. Now, can he do that? We're going to find out. But I can, like you said, you're not going to bet against Jett. And he shows up every single weekend and typically knocks it out of the park. That's just, that's the way it's going these days. And so I don't chalk it up with anything with him. I think he goes and plays golf and he doesn't worry about anything that happened at Washougal.
No, I'm glad you said that. And dude, and that's not a slight towards any of his competitors. They are all bad competitors. Chase Sexton's a bad dude. Eli Tomac's a bad dude. Hunter Lawrence is a bad dude. I mean, Ken Roxon, Cooper Webb, Justin Cooper, all you guys, dude, are insane, right? But he's just, I think it'd be like someone like you in your day and the guys that have won 3, 4, 5 championships, like it's different. And I feel like, and I want to ask you this, like if I got beat on the weekend, like you kind of just explained it, I'm not really worried about it because I know that I'm going to be there every single weekend. And my guess is that I'm probably going to get you on an average, and I'm willing to play that game. And so I wouldn't okay, I got beat, big deal. Like I know where I could be a little bit better. And maybe I could get my bike a little bit better over here. And it's just that initial thought, dude, and it's over. Then you go on, like you're saying, playing golf. That's how I approached it. I think I have a pretty good idea that that's how Jett is, just because of the friends that he has and I have. Is that how you were?
That was a lot like how I was. Yes, exactly. Like I didn't dwell on losing a race to somebody. Now I was in a lucky position, call it lucky position. I put myself in a good position to win more races than I had lost, like Jett. So you have to chalk it up to be just, call it I wouldn't even use the word off weekend. It was just Chase was on. Chase isn't in this for the championship standpoint of pro motocross. That is now SMX, different story, right? That's a different setup, different story there. But as for pro motocross itself, he's sitting in the driver's seat. So I was a lot like that when it came to if I lost a race. Yeah, I was pissed. I was bummed. But I just went back to doing my same old program, the same old work that had got me in that position. And didn't chalk it up with more than just anything other than that, because I'm not going to put myself into that tailspin when you have that many wins underneath your belt. It's I think Jett, for example, for sure is way too mentally strong for that. I think he's got to have 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 bad races to where that starts creeping in and being like, okay, what is it? Is it the bike? Is it me? How do I need to get better? But right now he typically still has the speed on everybody every single weekend.
That's right. Again, dude, listen, everybody tuned in today. Yeah, the best guys get beat. I was listening to Weege on the broadcast, and he's like, we're going to overanalyze Deegan and Jett for the next 2 weeks of why they got second. And it is like, I think a lot of people are going to overanalyze it. Oh my gosh, these guys, I can't believe it. They should quit. Like they got second there. It's over. And again, the best guys get beat. It's that simple. Some days it's theirs and some days it's not, and they roll on. And I believe, kind of like what RV has said, everybody tuned in today, that a guy like Jett, a guy like RV, you said you were the same way. I know I was the same way. You chalk it up. It is what it is. You got your ass kicked. You go, you move on. It is really that simple. The good guys don't think about it. If you think long, you think wrong. And that's where I'm at. So not much there to talk about Jett. He'll be good at Ironman. I believe Ironman's the next one. Tomac looks like he's working on the bike, not 100% comfortable on the bike. He said that several times. We got some sound on tape. So before we break it down, Hector, roll us that sound from ET.
I was changing the fork and the shock. So really it was like wholesale bike changes. to try to just find a different feel. That's what happened before Millville and whatnot. So yeah, we were taking some serious swings at motorcycle setup and trying to be better.
Where you at for that?
Yeah, I mean, look, he has the speed, let's say, like to be running up there. So what's not jiving? Is it him? Is it the bike? Obviously, he just said they're kind of throwing the kitchen sink at it right now to improve that motorcycle or improve that feeling that he needs to be able to ride to his ability. You know, and I think Washougal was a better weekend for Eli. It definitely was. It's going to be tough, though. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to still take the seat that I'm still sitting in. And like I said a few weeks ago, I don't know if Eli is going to be able to run Jett's pace. You know, I'm going to throw it out and say it now that occasionally, yeah, sure, he's going to be able to get moto wins. But like as for that long-term championship goal, you know, I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough for him, especially with a manufacturer change coming up. You know, there's a lot of things late in his career, you know, a little bit older, which age has nothing to do with anything, but I'm mentally older, 3 kids in the position he's in, the stack of cash in the bank. You know, there's all those things that go through that run through your mind. And I'm going to say it again, the manufacturer switch is probably going to be tough at this stage. You know, but I hope, right? I hope to see him.
Yeah.
I hope to see him get into that
100%.
back to that winning form.
Hell yeah. The fans love it. I love seeing it. I love watching him, like when he's in that zone, the beast mode zone, as everybody calls it. And I'm with you, but everything that you just said, RV, you can't debate. And it's tough for some people maybe to understand what you're talking about, what I'm talking about, because they've never been in that situation. I know certainly that I have. So, and everything that you're saying, I know you have been in that situation outside of the manufacturer change. And it's just different. Like it's, you know, it's different, especially like you said, you got the money, you've got all the accolades, and then you have guys, the next generation, if you will, coming through, picking up the pace. Are you willing to take that gamble, and is it worth it? And one thing that I think is important to remember here, and RV, we were talking about this yesterday, gearing up for today's show, is don't discount the time off that Eli has had from his Achilles, and then last year, time off. And when other guys aren't taking that much time off, you lose more than what you think. And at that level, I mean, a little bit is a lot, you know, it really, really is. And I think it's just, everything is coming together. You have Jett that is so good. And yes, I think Eli is riding better than he ever has, but Jett is just, you know, new generation. You saw it when you were racing. I saw it when I was racing. I'm sure MC saw it when I was racing. Each generation, they just push that limit and do things a little bit different. And you get to a point, everyone does that. It's not sustainable. And I don't want Eli to be in that situation, but you know, he's not comfortable with his bike. So like, yeah, that's why I think another reason he's not doing well is that. So it's everything coming together at once, in my opinion.
And not to take anything away from him at all. Like I said,
No.
we're not bashing on Eli at all. I just think it's
reality, dude. It's freaking
exactly.
reality. That's all.
Exactly. And he's still crushing it, you know, like on the box, you know, so couldn't have you know, I mean, at his stage in his career where he's at, what he has in the record books, like still on the podium, you know, at Washougal. So that's good to see, but I think it's going to be tough. That's just kind of my stance on it. I hate to say it, but like you said, it's kind of the reality, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
That's right. Dunlop debate. So this is a good one, dude. Myself personally, I'm not using the scoop tire there. When you're at Washougal, you're relying so much on side bite, lateral grip, forward grip, and traction in certain areas. I think Washougal is a track that you can get caught off guard. That's one thing that I noticed the first time I ever went to Washougal, because I only saw it on TV until I went there, RV. I'm like, dude, that place is so good. There's going to be so much traction. I'm like, holy, this place is slippery. Right. But so the Dunlop debate, this is a good question. And RV, I want to know what you have to say. J_Bush asks, is Eli too stubborn in running a paddle? He had speed, but no traction. You think he should have not ran it?
So here's my take on it. I haven't rode the bike, his bike, for example. I don't know, that chassis, that motorcycle, that chassis and that motorcycle with that tire. So here, put it this way. Dunlop had a tire, and I think I've talked about it on the show before. It was a 62. Knobbies would peel off of it by the end of a moto. And the tire was a great tire while it lasted. But it worked phenomenal on our motorcycle when I was at Kawasaki, and I chose to run that tire pretty much on every condition, even if I knew the tire was going to fade or go away before the 20 laps were over of Supercross. So that being said, that specific tire might work the best on that chassis. Was it the best for the track? I would probably say no. So I don't know what kind of condition what he's dealing with specifically. But yes, majority of the gate didn't have a paddle on. He decided to run a paddle. It didn't seem like it helped the start, for example. Like, that's typically why these guys run a paddle, is if the start is super deep and they want to manage it on the track. Washougal, they don't till their starting line. It's typically not very deep. So I think that kind of takes that question or that out of the equation. No, we're doing it for the start. So it must work with that motorcycle very well, or he really jives with that tire. Was it the right decision to run at Washougal? I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say probably not, just because of what you just said, RC, the traction, the grip quality, the dirt quality, a lot of lean angle at Washougal. And maybe it just didn't work as well as he expected, but like I said, he was comfortable with that tire.
I second what you say, RV. And another example of that was great analysis and insight, and how it used certain tires worked for your bike. I love that. Similar situation. And one thing before I tell about that situation is, I think Eli, for where he's at in his career, I figure, I know I was like this. I'm sure you were like this also, RV. Like, we know what tires work. We know what tires maybe don't work as well. And for me, I was willing to gamble, only because of how I know exactly what that certain tire does, whether good, bad, indifferent, whatever it might be. I think when you get to a level where you were at, where I was at, certainly where Eli is at, you take that responsibility on yourself. He knows what tire works well. Dude, the guy's been around forever. And yeah, should he have ran, the non-scoop tire? Possibly, but dude, he's ran the scoop tire in certain tracks where other people haven't. And I think I've heard him tell, like, he likes that tire, and he knows how to make it work in certain areas where maybe others don't. An example of that would be back in my day on hard pack tracks. I always ran the intermediate Dunlop 756. It was back then. I don't know what that tire would be today, but I'd run it everywhere. And sometimes Glover would be bummed with me because he's like, dude, but this one has way more traction, this hard pack track. And I'm like, I understand it does, but it doesn't have the predictability that I need. Like, sometimes I would be totally gripped up and then I wouldn't be gripped up. So I'm like, I'm gonna forego where it might have maximum grip over here, but I'm going to take predictability and consistency and a little less grip. And I personally believe that's what Eli was doing this weekend. I could be wrong, but very similar to new. I ran that 756 everywhere on the hardest packed tracks because it was consistent and I knew exactly what it was going to do. And I think, I take personal responsibility of knowing that, well, I'm probably going to lose a little bit over here on grip, but the consistency part for me and the predictability part for me made up for the unpredictability of a different tire. So that's a Dunlop.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Hey, Jay, that was a good question and great insight by RV. Justin Cooper, dude's ticking away. He's injured, but I like what he said. Harvey, and we'll kind of get into this in a few minutes. But if it wasn't for SMX points, it might not be. He wouldn't even be out there. So he's looking forward to the next couple of weeks to heal up. What you think? Think it's important for him to keep going?
I think so. I 100% RC. You got to, you got to keep going, especially for that SMX points, the standings, the getting seated, getting your seat for that. That's what we do inside of this sport. Not every single weekend are we going to feel 100%. If you go down during the week, if you go down like Justin did in practice at Millville, and fought through Millville, fought through Washougal, you got to think big picture. So I think that's exactly what he needs to do. Now we're going into a 2-week break. So he'll be able to heal up. I don't even think, I thought I saw a quote somewhere, online that said he never even rode during the week this week. Can be good and bad, but for somebody in his position, you got to give the body the time to just kind of freshen up and heal up and not be as sore. So it's going to be good to have that 2-week off for him so that he comes in, because dude, he's been a top, fighting for that 3rd through 5th spot every single weekend. I've said it before. He's established himself inside this 450 class as literally a top 5 guy every single time. And I think that's very impressive, coming from, just going off of his lights career, and he's always had speed, but I never put him in the position to be a 3rd through 5th guy in the 450 class. I'll tell you that. I'll be honest. I didn't think he would develop the way he has on the 450, along with RJ, same thing. I didn't expect those two to be, right, fighting for that 3rd through 5th, 6th place spot.
I think, and we talked about it with RJ, and we talked about it a little bit here on Title 24, but I feel like, not expecting that for sure, but I do feel like I always had in the back of my mind that those bikes, certainly for Justin Cooper and how he rides, he doesn't override motorcycles, and he uses the power of the 450 to his advantage, and it really works well for him. It's very hard to ride these days, especially with how fast the bikes are, to override them. If you override them, the bikes just don't work that well. The suspension gets bound up, and things don't work properly and as good as they should, mechanically, for sure. So I think that is one reason why he's done so well, is because of his riding style. And you're exactly right, dude. He's riding super well, especially until last week when he hit the deck in practice at Millville. But dude, all the guys are in. He's been riding really, really good and getting good starts, which always helps. And he maintains that pace. You go back to the heat races and Supercross early on towards the end of the series. Yeah, I know the field was a little bit weak, but dude, those heat races are tough to win because everybody can go fast for 7-8 minutes. And dude, and he was holding off the best guys in the world, and he is one of the best guys. But that just goes to the importance of a bigger picture that I want to talk about, is the SMX and playoffs. And when you had, 2 entities coming together for the better of the sport, and that's MX Sports and Feld, and creating the SMX playoffs. Is it a few more races? Absolutely. Is it ideal? Should there be less races? Maybe a couple, but it's not very many more than what they're already doing. And let's face it, if they're not racing those, they're going to go across somewhere and race the overseas races and make some money. So that argument for me is kind of goes out the window. It's about money, and they're getting paid doing the SMX playoffs. So that just shows you the importance of SMX. I like Justin Cooper's approach, RV, because I think the SMX format really works well for a guy like Justin Cooper. And the reason that the reason that it does is number one, he gets good starts, and the abbreviated races, he can hold that pace, and how the tracks are a little narrow, right? At some of those tracks, so you can, it's easier to ride a wide bike, block guys from passing. Justin Cooper's really, really good at doing that. He's tough to pass, not in a bad way. Like he's not the track. I don't feel like I never race him, but
No.
just watching him, he makes it tough for you to pass him. And that's why you're seeing the importance of what the seeding means to these guys. You watched a little bit happen last year, and I think as each year goes on, it's going to become more and more and more important. So now you got a guy like Justin Cooper who's going to go into the playoffs, #1 seed, and you never know. It might be like Hunter Lawrence. Hunter almost won the damn thing last year, and gets those good starts. You can rely on that, and don't sleep on him. I think he can do really well. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. We talked about, we have, since we're talking SMX points, RC.
Yeah.
Hey, RC, RV, y'all seem pretty adamant that the SMX is going to be the crown jewel of the series. What makes it different from the other series that have been tried out, like Monster Cup? Is it because it's a points deal, or is it because it has become a new push for the riders to be signed to be expected to run the 3-race series due to the field support for it? What makes the difference from old combining of FIM and AMA championship that used to happen? Basically, why will this endure when other formats have not? Well, you said it, RC. It's I think it's only 1 or 2 more races total combined. If they didn't have a Monster Cup, or we didn't have the SMX World Championships, you would be going overseas, the Bursees, the AUS-X Opens. You'd be chasing gate drops, and you'd be chasing the paychecks. So back to that is why is it becoming the crown jewel? It's because of the money, like you just said, RC, from the top guys all the way down to 22nd place. The payout is very well, from first to the last guy. And I think that's what's going to keep our guys here racing. That's going to be the crown jewel because of that. And I like looking at it from the outside in, because, okay, if you botch Supercross or you botch outdoors, you still have that chance to get a third championship is what it is. We have 3 premier championships. That's Supercross, that's Pro Motocross, and now the SMX World Championship. So that being said, that I believe that 100%, and that will be the crown jewel, and it is the crown jewel of our racing. But it takes putting the puzzle together correctly. That's Supercross, Motocross, and SMX. So you can't just think you're going to race Supercross and not race outdoors, or if you're injured, it brings these guys back and gets them back on the gate to get that seated position, because it's so important.
Yep, 100%. Again, going back, that's a great explanation. It really is that way, and I think that you're seeing it work how it was supposed to work. By a perfect example is Justin Cooper, and another great example is going to be Chase Sexton. Another great example of how it's working, and now these guys can race for the crown jewel SMX World Championship is Jett Lawrence. Guys who are missing stuff, it's going to work out well for Cooper Webb. And so they basically have some redemption and can solidify everything that they have worked for, and so they got injured. So that means maybe they weren't the best guy in Supercross. No, you can't say that Jett wasn't the best guy in Supercross. He was doing pretty damn good until he blew his knee out. I know that's part of racing. I know everyone's going to chew our ass for saying, well, that's part of it. Yeah, no kidding. But like, he's good. So now you got some validation towards the end of the series, and everything is going to be eventually down this way. It's no different than a lot of major sports. It's all about the playoffs, performing well during the main part of the series, like Supercross, Motocross. So you have that high seeding, and then you go and you get it on for 3 weeks. And I love it. I think it's a great routine. I really do. I was interested at the beginning, straight up, but I think, if I was in this situation, I was put in this position, it's only 2 or 3 more races, still getting a hell of a paycheck. You still got all the bonus money. You don't have to fly overseas for it. Yeah, when you go overseas, sometimes it's guaranteed money, but whatever. I think this is why I think this is working when other situations haven't worked. So that was a great question, by the way, David, and I'm glad you had a great explanation for it, RV. Before we get to the 250, we got a couple things. The start. Did you see there's a new rule for the start? We have some sound on tape from Eli Tomac and what he thought about the new starting procedure. Roll the tape.
That restart was tough. You just don't know when you're going to go, and you try and stay in the zone and whatnot, so it's hard. And with that being said, it is a little bit sketchy, like with how the AMA guy runs across the start, but for the restart itself, I do like it more than the staggered straight line. Just my opinion on that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, right? Like, that was the first time it's been put into play. Was the way that this, and I guess I've never seen it in any. So at first, when the red flag got pulled, I'm like, okay, because I don't think they showed it on the broadcast what the red flag was actually for. They might have spoke about it. I didn't see it. I didn't. If they did, I didn't hear it. But interesting way of doing it. I think it worked out pretty well. Like to what Eli said, I've been in restarts, staggered start restarts in Supercross, much more chaotic. Obviously, that's par for the course of being on a small Supercross track inside of a stadium and having all that chaos. So I guess I don't have another option, or I haven't put a lot of thought into how would you do a red flag restart in Pro Motocross, other than re-racking them on the gate, which I've been in those positions too, where we'd have to do a third start all over again. So I like the restart the way they did it. To what Eli's point of like a little bit sketchy. I think once guys, I hate to say it, once we do it a few more times, it'll become more natural. It'll become, exactly how it's going to be. You're not going to be caught off guard by anything because everybody has seen it. That was the first time for all of us, and them being behind the gate in that position. I don't know. I think that's my take on it.
Before we go to the 250, and the 250, I feel like this is why we're spending so much time on the 450, because we're just going to repeat ourselves, I think, for the 250. But Jorge Prado, dude, there's an interesting interview on Vital. You sent it over last night.
I'm not lost. Maybe others. But not for sure, not me. I know what I do, and I know what I'm capable of. That's it.
So are we going to get to see what you're capable of this outdoor season, or are we more on the 2026 plan at this point?
It doesn't depend on me. So at this point, people think that if they see me closer to the top, means it's good. Good is if I win, right? And in Southwick, it wasn't good. I never felt good. I mean, even Red Bar, when I was leading, I felt like I was racing in slow motion. I don't even know how I made it 15 minutes first when I was just cruising around the track. So, just trying to get out of cruise mode. I don't know, I'm open-minded, and I go to every race thinking that I will do good. And if it doesn't happen, it's not because of a lack of effort. And I just do my best. I train as hard as I can. I feel like I'm super fit this year, and hopefully I can show it at one point this season. People don't know. They like to speak. I mean, I just laugh about some of the comments, and I don't really care, because everybody has so many different opinions, and they don't even know what's going on. So, I mean, this is racing. If you're not 100% feeling with the bike and in general, how do you want me to be fighting on top, right?
Yeah.
So, one thing it's clear, and it's that I didn't win 2 years in a row the MXGP world title because I was lucky.
Yeah.
We have multiple issues, so. But like I said, we are working. The team is working, no doubt. I can't blame the team for no effort, because they're putting maximum effort and trying their best. But maybe it's, I don't know, it's just taking more time than I thought.
I don't know. I have my feelings. I have my feelings on it. Do you think the bike is that bad, straight up?
Look, I don't I personally, no, I'm not gonna say the bike is that bad. This is what, I watched that whole interview with Lewis, and Jorge, and, dude, I can, very similar situations, myself and him, meaning that I went over to Europe, to a place that I had never been, people I had never met. I'd racing my dirt bike in countries on tracks that I had never been to. All the conditions were different. Everything was different when I went to Europe, and now he's in the United States, and everything is different. So, I feel like it's a combination of things. I think it's a combination of our racers, our pro, the way that how quickly we wham bam, thank you, ma'am. We fly in Friday, we practice Saturday morning, we go straight to the gate, we race, and boom, we're out. We're back on a flight Sunday morning, if not Sunday night or Saturday night. So I think there's a lot of things going through Jorge's head as a 2-time world champ, to take nothing away from him. I was call it a 9-time champ when I went to Europe and got beat. So I just think there's a lot of things that that he's fighting with, and some of that might be a little of the motorcycle. I think a lot of that could be just situations of being in new places, new tracks. The pace is very high, and he's not familiar with it. That's kind of what I think. I think he's being pretty hard on himself. I think he needs to be realistic with himself also, and maybe not put so much emphasis, it's the bike, on the bike itself. I think he needs to take some accountability on the front of and be okay with that this is going to be a learning year. Like, I didn't expect Jorge to come. He raced 3 races last year in Supercross on gas.
Yep.
And then went and finished up in Europe, and then came over here to the US, switched manufacturers, new team, new bike, new personnel, new country. So I think there's a lot of moving parts inside of that. I think he needs to realize that, also, and just keep building and try not to get down on himself, and just keep chipping away little chunks every weekend. And by year 2 or 3, I think, we might see him up there racing for wins, but as of right now, I think it's asking a lot.
Dude, that is a killer explanation for sure. I think the only advice, I never experienced going over to Europe like you did, and I think you're exactly right. I mean, you're like one of the best guys ever to do it over here. You go over there to MXGP, it was tough. And it just, and I'm with you. I think it's different. I think getting hurt at Supercross definitely didn't help. We've talked about that. I was bummed to see that happen, because had he not gotten hurt, he would have learned where the bike is good, maybe learn where the bike needs to be a little bit better to suit him. And you lose that time. Now he comes in, and remember, we heard that he took some pretty tough licks on his journey back to getting back into Pro Motocross. So take that into account. It's hard. It's like you're playing catch up. And I think what I would do if I were coaching him, RV, is when I knew in 2003 at Honda on that CR 250, dude, we had what we had on the engine, and they said, it's not going to ever work the way that you want it to work. And I'm like, all right, then, you take your medicine and you do the best that you can, and where it's good, where it's not good. Does it suck? Of course it does, but you're not going to change it, basically, is what they told me. So figure it out. And if all you can do is get second, all you can do is get third, even though you're used to winning, we're sorry. Figure out a way to be a little bit better. They didn't quite say it like that, but they just basically said, dude, you got what you got. You're gonna have to figure it out. If you want this type of power, you need to get on the 450. And that's what I think is that's part of it too. I would just tell him, like, dude, it is what it is. Let's just ride around where it's good, ride around where it isn't, and we'll continue to improve. But I think, though, like, he's got to stay as positive as possible. I know it's tough to do, and I know he had these expectations, like kind of like what you're saying. It's just, you got to stay positive and look at the big picture. And again, don't discount the time off, because it's tough, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, shoulder injury in Supercross did not help at all. This early on, I had said if Jorge could make it through Supercross without getting hurt and being anywhere from 5th through 8th every weekend, 8th through 10th, somewhere that every single weekend just build, and then come into outdoors. But that didn't happen. He did get hurt. He had to sit on the couch. Wasn't developing the motorcycle all through Supercross, and then so I think it's a huge ask. I think the goal for him, in my opinion, like if I was helping him, would be top 5 both motos every single weekend, and then we'll start chipping away at that. And when we have a good weekend, or when we feel like we're on, or everything is on, and you got that third, second, you can fight up front, you can lead some laps. Those are all things you're just putting in the memory bank for when things really start to click. So, to what you said, RC, staying positive. He needs to stay positive. I think he bit off a huge chunk. So to have the expectation of coming here and just having his winning ways that he had in Europe, I think that was too big of a bite, honestly. I went to Europe, same thing. Thought that I was going to be better than I was, and I dealt with a whole string of different things that was tough. I was there for 4 rounds. I did get an overall win in Thailand, but it was way harder than me racing here in the States.
Yep. Awesome stuff, RV. That's the Boxo breakdown. Part of Title 24 here in the show. Head over to boxousa.com. Get yourself lifetime warranty. And I'm bringing my Boxo Adventure ADV bag in case we get stuck in a tight spot. But I don't anticipate any of that happening. We're going to try to keep this shiny side up. Speaking of breakdown, talked about the 250 a little bit. My man, Jo Shimoda, your guy too. I mean, dude, how do you not like Joe? Joe's riding good. I think his bike is really good. Like watching it, looks like it's got good power. I feel like it's always handled pretty well. But he's riding well. He's a little bit out of the points, but still keeping the pressure on for Deegs, and Deegs going out there having to perform. But I still feel like Deegs is in a league of his own. And again, when talking about Deegan, RV, like that last moto there, like when you spot Joe, that kind of track position, this is where I feel like when I talked about the track races a bit narrow, it was really hard for him to get by the guys are riding really well, and he was trying to move around as much as possible. He had some killer lines after the finish line there, like he turned left and that right, and then hard 180 left, dude. He was chewing dudes up there, but I'm not really fretting. I feel the same way what we talked about with Jett. I feel the same way about Deegan in the 250 class. He got beat at the end net. He didn't lose any points. It's a win.
I second that. Like you can't, he's got almost has a 50 point, almost a 50 point lead roughly. So yes, did he lose Washougal? Yes, he lost Washougal. But I don't chalk that up for anything other than, like you said, spotted Joe. What I can take from Washougal though is Joe keeping this ball rolling, kicking that can down the road of getting better each weekend and building that confidence. So when Haiden and Joe start together up front together, hopefully Joe has that confidence and that speed to run with Haiden. And I think that's maybe what Joe needs to see and Joe said, I think it was, what was it, after last weekend, I just need more opening speed. I need more sprint speed. I need to get going sooner. Joe's been super phenomenal at the end of these races, but Hayden's is one of the best at sprint speed in the opening laps of these motos. So the confidence that Joe's going to have from Washougal is going to be huge. And if he can keep building on that, putting himself in great positions, I think that he's going to climb up that ladder a little bit more and hopefully get closer to Haiden on the speed wise and really race with him. I don't know if we're going to see it. I mean, that's as a fan and as a guy that watches it every Saturday, that's what I want to see. I want to see Wasabi Joe up front, racing with Haiden. Yeah.
Wasabi Joe. What happened to Sushi Joe? Dude, now he's
well, I don't know. It's just Lars came up with the Wasabi Joe. He's a little bit spicy, right? So I like Sushi. I still call him Sushi in my household.
Same.
The boys call him that too. So they're fans of him also.
That's right. I'll text Joe and always put the sushi sign. And dude, he's so it's cool. He did what you said, like you wanted to see him back it up. I think, and historically, if you go look at Joe, he's always better in the latter part of the season. I think if he can keep it up, I think he'll be in a great spot. He'll get that seeding up in the SMX playoffs, and that'll definitely help his chances to try to knock off Deegan, so Deegan doesn't get the hat trick, become 3-time SMX world champ. I think, like for the sake of time and everyone's time here, again, my position is the same with Deegan as it was for Jett. And I text you guys this on our thread last night. I said, at the end of the day, listen, Deegan and Jett are the best in their classes. They are both 2-time defending SMX champs. That alone speaks for itself, either way you slice it, Chief. Said, outside of injuries, which do happen, there ain't no beating them in a championship. And like, if I think anything is possible, but if you're betting against them, the odds are against you. And that's just the facts. Do I want to see other people challenge them? Hell yeah, I do. I love it. I'm a huge fan. I love all these guys. I have a tremendous amount of respect, but I also put myself in their shoes and know how I was in their situation, a lot like what you and I do. Like you knew what your mindset was. I knew what my mindset was. And I feel like I had a good grip on it, just like you did. So anyhow, I don't know. That's my opinion. Let's getting a little long in the tooth here. Let's give away some stuff. What do you say,
All
RV?
right.
Some quad lock stuff. All right. So a couple of the questions were really, really good, and they were from previous winners. So you can only win the quad lock question of the week once per season. So appreciate all the support and the love. But we got a new winner this week. The quad lock question of the week will be Chris_Witzel 525. With all the skills of Jett, Deegs, and Chase, will they change moto as MC, RC, RV, Reed, and Stu did? What do you think, RV?
I think that's a tough question, Chris. I'd like to hear from you, Chris. What could they be doing different? The scrub's already there, right?
Flipping the question on them. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the scrub's there. James came up with that move, many years ago, and every progression that we see, which isn't very often, right? It was like, okay, 4 strokes. It went from 2 strokes to 4 strokes. It went carbureted to fuel injection. James doing the Bubba scrub, and then. Honestly, if I had to think right now, pull it out of the sky, like I don't know what else these riders could do to go much faster until some type of technology change. I think they're squeezing every ounce of horsepower out of those motorcycles, and rideable horsepower. Yeah, you can produce any type of number you want, but if that sucker's not rideable horsepower, you're not going to be able to go fast on it. Suspension, for example, hasn't changed in a long time. Yes, they work and they test and they try to make the motorcycle as best they can throughout weeks on end. So I don't know what would change the sport other than I don't know. I that's a tough question, Chris. It really is. I mean, what do you, RC? Can you pull something out that would change or make them, make a statement?
Change the sport.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing now, RV, compared to you and I, you brought up great points. MC came out, dude, he was flashy, fan favorite, changed the sport that regard. I mean, he was so dominant that I think it brought, not only because the fans loved him, but how dominant he was. People started to say, who the hell is this guy? He's got 72 Supercross wins, right? It just draws your attention. I think that's how he brought more eyeballs to the sport. I mean, Pastrana definitely helped. I think that I helped. Mine was right after MC. I mean, to beat the king of Supercross, I had to change the game. And how did I change the game? By outworking everyone. Okay, so that brought another thing to the sport. Then you came along, right? I think that and how dominant you were similar to me. Is just like you win. You're just gonna beat everyone to death, and you were just a hard worker. Kind of, you and I cut from the same cloth, and you change that way. In order to beat Ryan Villopoto at his best, you have to outwork him, and you just have to be a dog and be willing to ride that edge. So you change that. Then Bubba came in. He's doing the scrub. I'm not going in proper sequence. I understand that. But yeah, Bubs is just, dude, he was just a different guy. Fastest man on the planet, I think I called him one time. And yeah, I mean, he could just do amazing things. Yeah, you talk about the scrub. So you start seeing a lot of kids doing scrubs on bikes. And let's see here. So I think that the guys today, the Deegans of the world, I think the Jetts of the world, I think where they're going to change it is their personality. You talk about like TikTok, and you talk about, social media. That's where I think they're going to elevate the sport to a new level. You got these guys just in it on TikTok. And I know that sounds silly. I don't really use TikTok much. I think my kids tell me about it, and that's where I think they elevate the sport. Long story short, Chris, that's what they, that's where they,
I will agree with that from that standpoint 100%. Like, not necessarily, that has nothing to do with the motorcycle technology changes, things like that. It has to do with growing the sport. It's social based. It's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of those things, getting eyes on the sport. And the other thing is personalities. We have more personalities now, of the riders showing their personal personalities more than we ever had, and more than you did, RC, more than I did. Ever than I did. So that's one thing that will change the sport in that regard. But from a riding standpoint, I don't know, man. I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how much faster. You're right. I don't know how much faster they could go. I don't think the tires can hold the grip level. Like, I'm with you. Yeah, from a riding standpoint, I mean, they got incredible skill, way more than I ever freaking had. That's for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know. I mean, the bikes are so fast; they're getting everything they can out of it. Yeah, that's tough. Other than the social side and the personality side, I think that's the next game changer. Outside of what they're able to do on a dirt bike. Hey, a little. Do you have the 250 SMX points as far as that go? I want to see what the seating is. Hector, might take a little bit to pull it up there, but here we go. All right, Super Motocross points standing. Deegs has a pretty healthy lead, almost 100 points over Joe. Look at Marchbanks in there, some guy that we haven't really talked about. He bagged himself a third this weekend, and fantastic job by him. Vial's gone. He probably won't see him till SMX. Hammaker clawing his way back in there, looking like he's riding really well. I don't know. It's gonna be tough. The battle is on between Joe and Deegan. I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think there's going to be some guys slide in there for sure, but I don't know. All right, RV.
Pretty big points gap on that one.
It is. Loretta Lynn's coming up. We got a 2-week break for the Pro Motocross Championship, but you got the biggest amateur race in the world, Monster Energy AMA Amateur National Motocross Championship at Loretta Lynn's Ranch. I've had some fantastic memories there when I was younger, older. Still love getting back there when I can. I mean, this is motocross. I hope everyone has a great week there. I can't wait to watch online, watch all the races. Got some kids I got my eye on, and just love watching amateur racing. I love what that race stands for, and I'm all about it. I've made memories there that I will never forget. RV, same as you, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it's biggest amateur race, like you said, pretty much in the world, and brings all the best 42 riders in every class, and I've been lucky enough to be able to race it as an AM. Also have pretty much gone back dude, I think I've only missed it 1 or 2 years since I left as an amateur. I'll be there Saturday morning. I'll be pulling in to park the rig, because like I said, I got to do opening laps of practice, lead the practice parade lap around, probably spin a few laps myself. Stay out there. That's what I mean by that. Get out there, do a little bit of riding,
Get pumped up. Get a good,
yeah,
some good arm pump.
Yeah, get some arm pump. It'll be hot. But then my kids are going to experience it, not from the racing standpoint, but from the visual standpoint and what Loretta's is all about. And if they want to go and try to be one of those guys that race at Loretta Lynn's, it's a very prestigious event. It's crunch time for all these kids right now. That's, not the reason why we're here in Mississippi, but all the kids are training here, getting ready, at Farm 14, trying to just do exactly what Jett, Hunter, and Eli and Joe and Haiden and Chase, what they've all did and still do from the training aspect of it. It's they're all trying to get there one day. So it's a cool race. We'll be there, like I said, for about 3 or 4 days, and then I'm headed back home, back west.
Well, I think that Gage and Brax, as soon as they get a taste of that, you're definitely going to be all in once you see that. So God help you, my friend. It's going to be a long year. It's going to be a busy year for you. Busy year for you next year. Congratulations to Sushi Joe, Wasabi Joe, and Chase. Hell of a job this weekend on the wins at Washougal. For everybody, for RB&I, thanks for all the support. Title 24, United Motorsports, Quadlock, Case, Boxo, Dunlop, Cardo. You guys are awesome. Remember, you can check us out on Peacock. We're always on demand there. Motorsports on NBC's YouTube page, and of course on all the applications for podcasts. We're on there as well. So RV, have a great week. Be careful, and safe travels, and we will see you guys next time.
That's right.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.